college like it used to, and I need another notch on my belt. If you're looking for a six-pack, muscled up kind of man, better look.
We are the Dads with Bacon here tonight. You got Aaron, Charlie, and Combs here with me tonight. And how are we doing, gentlemen?
Good.
What's going on, man? Happy to be here.
Yep.
Thrilled to have you. Despite the ugly apparel behind you, you're still a valued member of this team, and I like to have your weighing in.
For those people that are listening but are not watching, can you tell them what it says below my name?
It means that Combs has poor taste in friends. And I'm Exhibit A. This is Exhibit B. But we'll keep moving past that. Trent Council can go enjoy his nasty Chicago hot dogs and losing baseball. But baseball's on the topic right now, gentlemen. We have had a heck of a week with the NFL. Lots of activity. But one thing standing out here that we got to acknowledge right away, it's on the gate, Justin Fields is still a Bear. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks traded already. Russell Wilson's even signed with the Steelers, but Fields is still in Chicago. Combs, what do you think about this? What does this mean?
Well, here in Chicago, we're still trying to figure it out. We really don't know what it means. And Ryan Poles is keeping it really close to the vest. We don't know what the Bears are thinking. And to be honest with you, I've said it before, I don't think the Bears know yet exactly what their decision is going to be. Now, Ryan Poles has sort of painted himself into a corner here because you are running out of partners. However, with that being said, there has been a lot of rumors swirling around about massive hauls for the number 1 overall pick. And it's starting to look like the Bears are going to lean that way and possibly build around Justin Fields. Now, for me, myself, and you see the jersey behind me, I would be ecstatic to build around Justin Fields. I think that the kid is worth it. Now, that's not saying that I don't, think that they can build around any other quarterback they're taking in the draft. I don't necessarily believe in Caleb Williams, but it's a matter of, here's what Chicago fans need to realize, and I said this the other day on Windy City Sports Talk. It's not so much about whether or not the Bears get the quarterback right. It's about whether or not they got this coaching staff right. And that's what they haven't gotten right for over 40 plus years. They haven't gotten this right since they had Ditka back in the day in 1985 with that defensive coordinator, with the offensive coordinator, with everything that they had going on during that 85 Super Bowl run. They have not gotten the coaching staff right since then. And they've never had a coaching staff that was capable of developing a quarterback. So if they take Caleb Williams at number 1, if they stick with Justin Fields, if they were able to go out and get Tom Brady, if they were able to go out and get Jesus Christ himself to come play quarterback, it would not matter unless they get this coaching staff correct. If they miss on Shane Waldron, we're going to find ourselves in the same position that we have been in year after year after year after year here in Chicago. So can you build around Justin Fields? Yes. If Shane Waldron is that guy, could you turn Caleb Williams into a success? Yes. Could you possibly build around Drake May or Jaden Daniels? Yes. But you have to get the coaching staff right. Everybody's so like, do you do Justin, or do you take Caleb, or do you do this? Do you do that? If they did not get the coaching staff right, does not matter.
Great points. And, for me, looking at this, I mentioned in a chat before, Minnesota, Washington, New England are kind of the 3 I'm looking at as the most logical remaining teams to kind of be a potential partner. Minnesota's a hard one, right? But if the Bears were to trade with Minnesota, how massive would that haul have to be to make that deal happen?
So you've heard of Mrs. O'Leary's cow, right?
The one that started the fire?
Started the Great Chicago Fire?
Yeah.
If the Bears trade Justin Fields to Minnesota, I will become Mrs. O'Leary's cow because I will burn this bitch down. I will drive to Hallis Hall, and I'm telling you right now, if they trade Justin Fields to Minnesota, I will lose my ever-loving mind. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Ryan Poles is too smart for that. I think if anything, I am starting to believe they're going to trade the number 1 pick. I'm very much on the side of whatever you do. I trust Poles. I trust Kevin Warren. Do whatever you do, just get it right. But it is looking more and more to me like they're trading the number 1 pick. And the rumor is the Giants are hot and heavy for the number 1 pick. The New York Giants are coming in with like 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, and a wide receiver for the number 1 overall pick, and including the number 6 this year, plus 3 more first-rounders. So that's 4 first-round picks.
Yeah, how do you pass on that, though? Right? That's real. How can anyone pass on that opportunity? I mean, you can't.
Here's the thing. If Caleb Williams is your guy, if you determined Caleb Williams is your guy, you want Caleb Williams at number 1, then there's not an offer in this world that should get you off of it. If you believe Caleb Williams is your franchise quarterback that is going to win Super Bowls, is going to be the next Patrick Mahomes, is going to get the yellow jacket on draft night like everybody's predicting he will, you stick with that no matter what the price is, and you trade Justin Fields for pennies on the dollar. But if you don't believe in Caleb Williams, then yes, you trade the number 1 pick for that. I would trade it for less than that, but yes, trade it for that.
But in a different conversation, talking about the Vikings, though, Charlie, you're down there in Georgia. Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons on a massive deal for a 35-year-old quarterback. And honestly, I'm happy for him. I think that the Falcons get the piece they need to be relevant and carry that division for a while. But what's your impression of this? What's the talk around Georgia? What impression are you getting for this as a Kirk Cousins is now an Atlanta Falcon?
So, I mean, it's kind of 50-50 really down here.
Okay.
Like, of people that at least that I know that I've talked about. I mean, and now the one thing I will say is everybody pretty much agrees that they have at least leveled up some in quarterback play.
Sure.
But like, seriously, this might just be like Matt Ryan 2.0. Like,
but is that so bad?
Well, I mean, they had one really good run, with him. That was it. And those years might be already past for Cousins. So we'll see. But the thing about it is that for the Falcons, like, it's exciting to think you've got Kyle Pitts, who, like, still everyone is just yearning to see him do something. We've seen these little specks of greatness and then, like, nothing. And, now you're looking at a quarterback that really knows how to handle a tight end well. So I think that that's a big thing for the Falcons. That's the key. The passing game in general, leveling up is good. But, man, it's just down here, there a lot of like the fans down here, the teams, we're just so used to like almost getting there until recently, just almost getting there and not. So, it's a little, maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. We'll see. Okay. I think it's cool though. I think that it says a lot that them and other teams went out and signed quarterbacks instead of trading for a hometown boy in Justin Fields. And the fact that a lot of other teams have already made the decision to pay more for other quarterbacks instead of what I heard was maybe giving up a second round pick for the quarterback for your team. So I think it says more about that and about the free agency season itself so far than just about the Falcons, really.
I guess the one question I have there going is that second round picks I've heard as well, but still, if the trade didn't happen, given what we've seen already, I have to believe the ask was higher than the second round pick for it not to happen. For the contract they gave Kirk Cousins, I have a hard time believing that the Bears were only asking for a second round pick and the Falcons were like, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah.
There had to be more to it. Whether it's a player, if it's more picks, whatever it is, it had to be more than a second round pick, right?
Probably,
right? The Bears supposedly Supposedly, we're asking for multiple picks.
Okay.
They wanted like two. They wanted basically the same return as, I can't remember the name of the quarterback, but he was traded for 2 second-round picks and a 4th.
Okay.
And they wanted a little bit better than that. I think they wanted 2 seconds and a 3rd, or whatever the case is. But here's my thing with that is, if you're really serious about moving on, you're really serious about using the number 1 pick, then you lighten up your stance a little bit on hey, because you have to get rid of Justin Fields before you draft Caleb Williams on draft night. If that's what you're going to do, you have to get rid of Justin Fields. You cannot go to OTAs and bring a locker room that is already in full support of Justin Fields and have both of those guys in the locker room. It's not going to work. So if you're really certain, and that's what led me to believe that they're going to trade the number 1 pick, is because if you're really certain that you're using that number 1 pick on Caleb Williams, you do what it takes to get rid of Justin Fields, because at that point, the value you get back, yes, there's a little bit of concern there, but the value is not as big of a deal at that point as it is making sure your locker room is ready to go. And then going and signing Brett Rippon, like who the hell knows what the hell that was. But it's one of those where I think, for me, the Falcons, if you're telling me you weren't willing to give up 2 second-round picks and a 3rd for Justin Fields, but you wanted to go get Kirk Cousins, I start questioning my front office, because you're going to get a guy who can possibly lead you for the next 2 or 3 years, or, a 4-year contract, but 2 or 3 years of really good, solid, quarterback play probably, or Justin Fields, who is turning 25 this year. And if he is as good as, look, I believe the kid's good. I just believe he's had a raw deal with coaching. If he's as good as he was touted to be coming out of Ohio State, you got a guy who can lead you for 15 years. Yeah. And at that point, what you're going to pay Kirk Cousins over the next 2 is less than what you would have paid Justin Fields over the next 2 before you have to pay him off of his rookie deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the part here you look at is the Falcons think they're ready to compete now. You go for the guy who's a known quantity, or Justin Fields, who we're still trying to figure out what he actually is. Because to your point, we've not seen him in a proper situation yet for an extended period of time. It's been glimpses, but I don't think that Fields has given us – we've not had a chance to see the full Fields effect. So I think that's the hard part to look at there. The other one for Atlanta, Desmond Ridder being traded already to Arizona, which for a number of reasons is a really weird trade to me. But, I mean, I feel like, what's the fallout from this? Looking at the Cardinals, Kyler Murray's obviously entrenched, their contracts all set. Desmond Ridder looks like he's a good backup, so maybe this is just that right trade. Is it really worth downgrading 2 picks to get your backup quarterback? Maybe, I guess. But a lot to kind of digest there a little bit. But, Aaron, hitting you up here a little bit. For us as Packers fans, I'm going to let you dive into our feelings here. But the Packers, something we haven't done in years. We signed not 1, but 2 big dollar free agents in the same offseason.
Yeah, and I think I even said on last week's show I didn't expect him to do anything.
So what's your takeaway? What's your impression from these moves so far?
Well, I think number one, it shows that the front office obviously feels that this team is further along than what maybe they originally were planning on with the whole transition to Jordan Love. I will say this, as far as the Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs deal, I was shocked when it happened.
Yeah.
At the same time, after thinking about it, number one, I am extremely grateful as a Packers fan to have a GM that doesn't give a shit about what the fans think, because because I mean he's already made a couple of tough decisions. When number one, moving on from Aaron Rodgers, when there was a lot of heat from that because people thought Love was going to be a bust, and now this. I mean, Aaron Jones is one of the most beloved Packers in recent years, that I can think of as far as just being a community guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and but at the same time, after if you actually take a step back and look at this from a business standpoint, and we're always told that, when a player moves on and goes to another team, takes more money somewhere else, it's a business. But then apparently when a team does the same thing, it's a betrayal, a stab in the back, and they're doing a player dirty and they're treating them like garbage and whatever the hell else it is. But the bottom line is you have a guy in Aaron Jones who I love, but he's coming off a season where he missed almost half the regular season, which is really and we'll never know this because this is a hypothetical, but in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of most Packer fans who paid attention, I don't think he has the last, the end of the season that he had if he had played the full season, with all that, the beating that he would have taken but he sat 7 games out of the regular season. It gave him a little extra juice at the end there, which certainly helped him. But I guess my question would be, if you kept him, whether he renegotiated his deal or not, if you had kept him, would we have seen the same Aaron Jones, or would he have missed half of next season? And you look at it and you go, it's the regular season, not that big of a deal. He was there for the playoffs, which is true, but the Packers barely made the playoffs. So let's say next year with a tougher schedule, he misses half the regular season and they don't make the playoffs. Now granted, the division's not that well. You got the Lions, but it's weaker, I feel like, going into this season than it was going into this past season. But I like the deal. You got Josh Jacobs, who, from what I saw, if I saw the deal correctly, and maybe Ben, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's a 4-year, $48 million deal. But they said when you actually break it down, it's more like a 1-year deal for about $11 million. And the Packers have 3 options, 3 years of options, of team options for them. So if it doesn't work out, yeah, something like yeah. So it's a very team friendly deal, and then to go over to Xavier McKinney, that was fantastic. I never, and to give him the kind of contract was $68 million over 4 years was just insane. I don't remember ever seeing, going back to the days of Ron Wolf, except maybe bringing in Reggie White, but Xavier McKinney isn't Reggie White.
Julius Peppers came to mind.
What was that?
Julius Peppers came to mind. The 3 years, $30 million we gave him, brought him in.
Okay,
I think of contract wise, but again, Julius Peppers definitely had good run with us, a good Bear, a good Panther. Phenomenal man, phenomenal player.
Yeah, I would say also too, to add one more thing to it. It was interesting to hear some of the analysis of them moving on from Devondre Campbell, because I thought he's definitely a leader on that defense. But then some of the radio talk that I've heard here in Green Bay was that with Hafley's, this new defense, he compared to how much he would have been used compared to what he was going to be bringing in salary wise, it definitely makes sense. So like I said, I'm glad we got a lot smarter people than me running that organization, that know what the hell they're doing with that, and that don't necessarily worry about the fans or wanting to take a poll on Twitter before they make a move or any crap like that. And I'm excited to see where this is going and see what Josh Jacobs can bring to the team.
I got a question for you guys.
They're hold on one second. Yeah. Apparently now they're talking about they are in talks with AJ Dillon to bring him back. So I wouldn't mind that. Done. Now that they got rid of Aaron Jones, it's like, okay, at least you're bringing back one of those guys. But go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, they brought back AJ Dillon on a 4-year deal or something like that.
Nice.
My question for you guys is: did you feel like getting Josh Jacobs over Aaron Jones was really that big of an upgrade? Because when I look at the two running backs, I feel like they're the same guy. When I look, especially when you look at the numbers, they're the same exact running back.
Until you look at broken tackles. And Josh Jacobs has the ability to break tackles that Jones didn't consistently have. He'd make you miss, but he wouldn't necessarily break a tackle. Josh Jacobs, the numbers, he's leading the league since he's come to the league in broken tackles. You also have a guy who's not coming in, who's in his mid-20s versus 29. So you've got a guy who's going to actually be here beyond the next year of being relevant. We already saw the injury starting. We all know that horrible number 30 kills running backs, right? And so here we are Jones turned 30 this year. That's unfortunately where we're at. So I think that we look just at last year. Jacobs had a down year. Jones had a good year when he was playing. But overall, for the Packers, it gives us a better window to keep a strong running game. And we've been through it in the past where we scuffled to try and find a running back. Until Cedric Benson, let people save their butts.
Yeah, but when I was looking at the move, I was looking at like Josh Jacobs. Like, there's only been one season where Josh Jacobs, which was I think either last year or 2 years ago, where Josh Jacobs really racked up more yak than Aaron Jones. But like this year, even this past season, like Aaron Jones was right there with just about the same amount of yards after contact that Josh Jacobs was. And I just felt like it was like a lateral move as far as that stuff went.
It's a fair take, and I've read a lot about from that standpoint too. I'm sorry, Aaron, I keep cutting on this one, but what I see with Jacobs, though, is that the age means a lot to me. It really does.
Yeah.
You're looking at
I was going to say that too. I don't feel like it's necessarily an upgrade as much as you're going. I feel like you're going to get 2, 3, maybe even 4 more years of productivity out of Josh Jacobs if he stays around, compared to what you had with Aaron Jones. Because honestly, if Jones had a big year this coming season, I'm not sure if we could expect much beyond that from him. I mean, maybe, and who knows? Maybe he'll completely prove me wrong. I know it's not set in stone that a running back, but they were talking about that today on the radio when I was driving into work, and they brought up a good point that when running backs start to go downhill, they seem to do it fast. I mean, it's like, it's not a slow decline. It's like, okay, great 1 year, and then average at best the next, and then the next year they're not even, maybe even. I mean, look at Ezekiel Elliott, how like he just. It seemed like a couple of years ago they're talking about making him the highest paid running back in the league, and then now he was not even on the Cowboys anymore, for crying out loud.
Right.
So
Cooks drop off.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and that's the thing too, is like with Aaron Jones. I mean, he's going to have a chance to prove you wrong, because with no quarterback in Minnesota, he's going to get the ball a lot this year.
Sure. Well, that's just it. I don't see him, and I'm not saying this that I want this to happen. I just don't see him playing a full season. I mean, and they were talking about it too, and I totally forgot about this, that at the end of that Niners game, the divisional playoff game, he tweaked his hammy, I think, or something. He came up gimpy late in the game, and they were saying that had the Packers won and gone to the NFC Championship game, they weren't even sure how effective he was going to be, based on what happened in that game. So the last memory we have of him in a Packer uniform is being extremely effective against the Niners, but who knows if that would have happened against the Lions the next week if they had won that. So who knows?
Right.
So
go ahead, Ben.
Kind of switching gears here a little bit, guys. Looking at the signings, one thing that stuck to me a lot was looking at the interior linemen getting paid. I mean, Lloyd Cushenberry, 4 years, $50 million. Jonah Jackson, 3 years, $51 million. Robert Hunt, 5 years, $100 million. Mike Onwenu, 3 years, $57 million. Damian Lewis, 4 years, $53 million. That's a lot of money going to interior linemen that I think historically we've seen going more towards left tackles. But it seems like the league's shifted now to seeing that interior line have value. I guess I want to ask you guys, what do you think led to this? And is this dumb money or just smart?
I mean, as a Bears fan, I wish the Bears would have spent that money on interior offensive line. Instead, they went out and got a bunch of filler pieces that are just depth guys. I know they just went out and got that the center from the Rams. What's his name? Coleman Shelton. They signed him as a free agent. I think it's a good idea to spend money on interior offensive line. I think that, the Kansas City Chiefs show you that if you can protect your quarterback, you can do good things. And that's one thing that the Kansas City Chiefs have always done really well, is keep people away from Patrick Mahomes. It's a big reason why he's been able to stay healthy. It's been a big reason as to why they've been able to sustain success. And again, as a Bears fan, I just wish our GM would spend some money on interior offensive line because it's porous here. But I think it's good money spent.
Charlie, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, games are won in the trenches. And that's the way it is. And now you've got to pay for the trenches. The agents have caught on to this. It's a different game as far as, contracts and stuff. I mean, they get bigger and bigger, and now you got to pay for these guys. It's like, it's like Sandra Bullock said in that one movie, the first check he writes to the bank, the second check's to the insurance company. You know what I mean? You got to take care of the quarterback. So, it's all these guys, man, that are playing in the trenches, they deserve to get paid. I mean, we've seen left tackles get paid for a while now. We've seen some centers get paid for a bit now, and then we've seen that continue to grow. I mean, such it should be for all of the guys right there. They're holding up the house. That's what they're doing. You got to pay for that. You got to pay for a good foundation.
So, Aaron, I guess we're spoiled here. I'm going to ask you the question here next, but we're kind of spoiled. We keep drafting these guys on day 3, plugging them in, and we're getting what we've had the last few years here on the O-line. John Runyon going to the Giants now on a 3-year, $30 million contract is one of those guys we've had as a luxury piece the last 4 years. Yeah. So how do you see this, and is this good money spent, or should this be reevaluated?
You mean just overall teams spending like this? Yeah, I would agree with both Brandon and Charlie. I mean, I think it's about time that teams started recognizing the importance of they always talk about the importance of protecting the blind side of the quarterback. Well, the rest of the whole line does is a pretty damn important job too. I mean, we have been spoiled here in Green Bay with the luck that we've had on the O-line. And I mean, a lot of that is luck, let's be honest. And I mean, some good scouting too and everything, but there's a lot of scouts out there from a lot of different teams. So, for whatever reason, we just kind of keep hitting on winners. But I think it's about time that some of these O-linemen start getting theirs too. I mean, everyone's always, I think a lot of times people focus on position, like not necessarily running backs, but now wide receivers and obviously quarterbacks are always the ones, but the ones that, you have a crappy offensive line, doesn't matter how much you pay your quarterback or how much he gets, he's going to be spending a lot of that on surgeries once he retires because he's going to get his ass kicked, So yeah, I think it's a long time coming. And, I think it should continue this way, especially with the salary cap increasing. It seems like salary cap increases, and that just means quarterback salaries go up. And I think it's about time that other positions start getting recognized too, especially on offense.
Well, fair enough. I guess going back to last year, I remember picking on Combs for the Bears game, saying, "Tell me how the Bears are going to beat us with the trenches." We are offset in both trenches, both sides of the ball, and the conversation was there was like, well, they can't. So I think this is where we saw that play out in both games. To your point, if the Bears can draft well and build that O-line up, that can at least give Fields a chance to be successful and maybe give the Bears a chance to flip this record head-to-head back in their favor, or at least level it off again. But
my Bears traumatic stress disorder fails to believe that will happen, though.
I understand it. I hope you're right, but I mean, I also acknowledge that no one can be that inept for that long, right? Right? But
I mean, it's been 40 years. It's been pretty long.
Oh, come on, only 30.
Yeah,
only been 30. Oh no, closer to 40. You're right.
We're talking about the last real win was before I was born, so there's that too.
We just learned Aaron's bad at math.
Other guys
Carry the one. No, okay.
Doing the Super Bowl shuffle with Aaron's would be kind of fun too, I guess. But Christian Wilkins is a contract I looked at and I was just floored by this. The man's 28 years old, and the Raiders are shelling out $84 million guarantee over 3 years, 110 total over 4, the contract value. I mean, this is asinine, guys. Like, he's a phenomenal player, but I can't see how this makes any sense for anyone trying to build a winning team. Can someone help me this make sense to me? Because I can't figure it out.
It's Raiders doing Raiders things.
So they need a new accountant, they need a new barber. Got it. Okay. But I mean, it's just floors me, man. Tennessee paying Calvin Ridley handsomely. $92 million with almost 70 guarantee over 3 years, 4-year total contract. Good gracious alive. I mean, why'd you trade AJ Brown if you're gonna do this? Like, what, 2 years later? I'm scratching my head here, gentlemen. Is all I'm trying to get.
It makes sense to me.
What was that?
Yeah.
It makes sense to me with Tennessee. This is a guy that can help a young quarterback. He last year, man, really he was still getting his footing back a little bit, from coming back from the suspension and all. It takes a little bit.
Okay.
And T. Law, he's a fun quarterback, but he's not always at the top of his game. Yeah. So, I mean, he's progressively getting better at that, but he still has bad games and stuff and makes bad throws and all. But Calvin Ridley, man, this guy to me can be a true alpha. And you've got D-Hop on the other side. Calvin gives you what you need opposite a superstar who's become a true possession receiver. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. And you got to pay these guys. Wide receivers are getting paid now too. So you got to pay these guys. He, had offers on the table from other teams. So we'll see.
And you have to keep pace with Houston too. I mean, you really believe in Will Levis. You really believe that you've got a team that can compete, but in order to compete in the South, you're going to have to compete with CJ Stroud and the boys. And Houston has done a phenomenal job at getting vastly better this offseason and building around their young quarterback while he's on his rookie deal. I mean, it's so intelligent. And I can't believe 3 years ago, if I would have told you that 3 years from now, I'll be telling you about how intelligent the front office of the Houston Texans is, I would have laughed at myself. But the Houston Texans are really doing it the right way, and they hit gold with CJ Stroud. And for Tennessee to go and get Calvin Ridley that way, I think it makes a ton of sense. Especially again, if you believe in Will Levis, I think Will Levis is a stud. I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. I completely agree with this makes sense for Tennessee.
Yeah. So I guess Aaron, anything else to add to that one?
No, we can go on.
So how about Houston being smart? Here, guys. Danielle Hunter, huge contract, 2 years. But to your point, falling inside of that rookie contract for your quarterback. Kind of that right piece to add with Will Anderson on that defensive side. So a huge addition. But is there any other signings you guys saw, maybe it's your team, Miller team, that just stood out to you that just kind of either surprised you in a good or bad way?
Brett Rippon. I mean, no, look, I think that the like I said, Houston's doing it the right way, but I think what surprised me was really the Bears going and getting DeAndre Swift and the Eagles replacing DeAndre Swift with Saquon Barkley. Both of those moves surprised me. They happened pretty much simultaneously, and I was shocked at the Bears because the Bears were in hot and heavy with Josh Jacobs, who ends up going to Green Bay. And the way that whole triangle ended up happening with the Bears with the guy that they were in love with and that was in love with them, they go with a different route. The guy that they were in love with goes to Green Bay. The guy Green Bay was in love with goes to Minnesota. So
Right.
like it was kind of a weird little love triangle right there of running backs. But no, I think that the Saquon Barkley and the DeAndre Swift moves really, really shocked me.
Aaron, what about you?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I had heard rumors about Saquon going to Philadelphia. But then I thought for sure with Tiki Barber, coming out and talking about it. I mean, I thought for sure Saquon. No, I'm being sarcastic now, but I was a little surprised that Saquon went to the Eagles. I mean, I could see where he might want out of New York just because I don't really know where the hell the Giants are going. But especially like when you look at the Giants and they don't pay out for Xavier McKinney, but then nothing against John Runyon Jr., but he's not worth $3 million, $30 million over 3 years. I'm sorry. I just don't think he is. Even though we just got done talking about how the old line deserves, more money, and they do, but I just don't know if Runyon is the guy. I look at that signing a little bit like I look at the, and now his name is escaping me right now. The wide receiver we had that went to the Jets, Lazard. Like he signed, what was it, 44 or 40 million or 44 million over 4 years, and you're like, what the hell did he do to get that kind of money? It was just kind of like the Jets kind of had to be, because they wanted to make Aaron happy. But I kind of feel like you look at Saquon Barkley and you look at Xavier McKinney, two guys that the Giants could have kept, and they weren't willing to shell out the money, but then they go and pay 30 million for Runyon. That it kind of makes you wonder what exactly the Giants are doing. But so Saquon surprised me a little bit. I was just looking at the list actually when we were all talking. That was kind of, I mean, obviously I was, like I said, I was not expecting the Josh Jacobs, but I'm kind of trying to figure out other ones besides Packers so that, people don't think I'm just going to talk Packers.
Yeah, I think the Giants move was just as surprising as Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. You're trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
The Giants are trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
By the way, I hope Tyson kicks his ass, but that's for another.
Oh, he's going to one punch.
I hope so. Anyway.
They're going 18-ounce gloves and a helmet. There's a pillow fight.
I'll tell you what. I know we're kind of sidetracking here, but to touch on that, if I know for a fact that there was no contract written up that Tyson has to take it easy on him, I will actually pay for that fight, and I hope it's over in 60 seconds.
And I would actually bet on Mike Tyson if that was the case too.
Exactly. So would I.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. I just don't buy that Paul is man enough to actually do that. I feel like
he's not.
He'd put some shit in there that says, Tyson has to take it easy on him or whatever. Anyway.
This is a payday for Tyson.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Ben. Go. Why don't you go ahead? I was gonna say that. I guess to just wrap up my thought, Saquon surprised me only because I just didn't think he'd actually go to the Eagles. I mean that rivalry is so heated that I thought he would stay away from them and that there would be somebody else that would offer the same amount. I haven't even seen the deal or whatever, but he obviously wanted to get out of New York pretty badly if he was willing to go to the Eagles. But then again, maybe it also points to the idea that, I've heard people talk for a while that players these days don't take rivalries as seriously as like the fans do, or maybe players used to. Because I remember hearing players talk about like the Packer-Bear rivalry back in the day when Ditka was coaching and all those guys. I mean, they freaking hated each other. They didn't hang out afterwards. They didn't go shake hands. They didn't, work out during the off season. And now all these guys have the same agent or something, and they're working out together.
And those players still hate those teams. Like every week, because Tom Thayer, who used to play for the Bears, every time we play the Bears or we play the Packers, you hear Tom Thayer on the radio talk about we just have to beat this team. We have to beat this team. Like in his he doesn't care if they go 2-15 as long as those two are against the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. They actually still do hate their rivals. It's vastly different now than what it was.
And I miss that, but that's
not
just
gonna
I'm not gonna. I don't want the old man yelling at the kids to get off my lawn or anything. But yeah, I definitely miss those days for sure.
Embrace it. It's freeing when you just embrace who you are, and I am that old man. It's okay. All right, so Charlie, what about you? What any signs of you overall kind of caught your attention?
So, well, one thing as far as like for my Colts, man, the fact that we have brought like nobody new in other than a backup quarterback, which I'm cool with Joe Flacco. That's awesome. And I like that we saw, Kenny Moore and Grove both deserve, and, Ziggy Smalls, they all three deserve the contracts they got on defense. But Chris Ballard, go buy a freaking corner, dude. Seriously, buy a corner. Spend money in free agency. You got to do that at some point in your career as a general manager. But I really like, on that same line of running backs, man, Derrick Henry to Baltimore. I love this. I hate this move for the Tennessee running backs, including Tony Pollard. I love this for Henry, though. I strongly believe that Derrick Henry's got 2 good seasons left in him. The guy is a freaking beast. He's still out there throwing people out of his way. It is just what he does. I know because we see him 2 times a year. He throws us out of the way sometimes. And he is now going to be behind one of the better offensive lines that he has been behind in his entire career. Baltimore is a step up on the offensive line. They are a running team. And so, this is great. Fun fact, too. Last year, yards after contact, McCaffrey led, but Henry was only 1 yard behind McCaffrey. Now he's going to have lanes. So this is great. This might be what puts Baltimore, Rufus Hush.
Sounds like Rufus disagrees with you.
He's all right. But I hate it for Tajay Spears. I hate that. All of a sudden, it's like, all right, we all know Henry's gone. This is the heir apparent. And then they bring in Tony Pollard. Now they've got like 2 almost carbon copy running backs that they're not going to know how to use. And Spears' fantasy value completely tanks for dynasty players, which stinks. But it doesn't make sense to me to bring in Tony Pollard. You can't replace Henry with Tony Pollard.
I mean, you could try.
You can try.
Yeah, but it's not the same. I mean, these are 2 completely different backs. What they have in Tajay Spears, they're getting again in Tony Pollard, basically. So it's like that. I thought was really interesting with the Henry signing. And of course, I'm glad to see him get out of the AFC South as well. But I thought that one was great. I also like, some of the things that we're seeing just around the league with all of these. It was just like a crazy frenzy. Yeah. I know we've seen that before, but this was exciting, man. Yeah. Just a lot of just crazy signings. Look, some of the teams that you're just looking at, what are you doing? Are you just looking at the Panthers and what
are you talking about? Russell Wilson
doing? Oh my gosh, dude. I love this, man, because Russell's gonna get $1 million or something on the Steelers. And he can do that because the less he takes, the more Denver has to pay him.
And tell me how you go and you, instead of, again, another team that was linked to Justin Fields, you go and you get a guy who you might get 1 to 2 years out of, but somebody just paid him $84 million to go away.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign in a starting quarterback.
Right? But he could have a resurgence.
You
never know. Things happen in Pittsburgh.
He had an okay season last year. He threw for 3,000 yards, I think 28 touchdowns and to 8 interceptions or something. He wasn't terrible in Denver, but he's just not. He's not that guy. He's a guy who's good until November, and then after November he disappears.
I think Tomlin will better utilize him over what Peyton did. That just didn't mesh from the beginning. That just didn't make sense from the beginning. That's just not the kind of game plan that Peyton's looking for. Tomlin, I think, we'll have a better game plan and a better usage for him. And I fully think he's going to end up, he's going to be the starter for the Steelers this next season. And while he's not going to get back to the glory days of going to the Super Bowl, I think that he could hold them. There's such a tough division.
Can he get that? Can he keep that so Tomlin still doesn't have a losing season?
I think they could get him to the playoffs on a wild card. That division is just, that division is going to eat him up.
Yeah.
A couple of those defenses are going to eat him up.
Switching gears here a little bit, I'm going to flip here to Aaron, I guess. Similar question, but what sign makes the biggest impact for you in year one we've seen so far?
Oh, let's see. In year one. I'd go to someone else. I'll come back to me.
Okay.
All right.
Call what you got.
I'm going with DeAndre Swift because the Packers can't stop the run, so we're finally going to beat you guys.
Okay. Charlie touched on Derrick Henry. Is that your pick, or do you have someone else you want to touch on?
No, I think it's Derrick Henry. He's gonna look. He is going to hit over 1,000 yards probably. And while they might see a little bit of regression with the touchdown, only because of the way that Monken's going to use his quarterback in rushing situations as well, he's going to have a great season. He's going to have a much, much better season than, say, Eckler.
Mm.
So glad you mentioned that. I'll touch on my guy first. Kirk Cousins is my guy for this pick. Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta is massive for that franchise. They lost a lot of close games the last few years. Not even competent quarterback.
Breaking news.
He's still
Sorry,
inside.
Big Ben. Breaking news, a trade just happened. The Bears just got Keenan Allen from the Chargers for a 4th-round pick.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
Just happened. Adam Schefter just reported it. Sorry.
Man.
No, man. I
The
love
Bears
that.
the Bears got Allen?
Yeah, Keenan Allen for a 4th-round pick. I could tell you in a second.
Man, that's a reliable receiver.
Yeah.
Wow, you got DJ Moore on the other side.
I was hoping they were going after Mike Williams, but Keenan Allen, I'll take.
Yeah, definitely.
Colts got to get Mike Williams.
Wow, that's a huge
Downfield
pickup.
threat. That's good.
Yeah.
For
Good
a 4th-round pick, too, that's a steal.
It's an absolute steal.
I mean, you may only get what's on his contract. How many years is on the contract? Does it say?
I'll have to look. I can look it up while you guys keep going.
Probably like 2, because he's really getting up there. He is starting to, kind of hit that decline a little bit, but he's so reliable. He's got great hands.
Yeah. Well, isn't that kind of doesn't that balance out for Fields or whoever their quarterback is? I mean, when you have DJ Moore, who's a little bit younger, more of I feel like he's more of a big play guy than and then you got Allen, who's more reliable. That he can be kind of the what Randall Cobb was for years to Aaron Rodgers, where he could just kind of dump it off and know that he's going to catch the ball, that kind of thing. Well, Ben, can I'll answer mine now.
Please.
And I guess I'm gonna be a homer here. I think McKinney's going to have a big impact, in year one with the Packers. And I don't know. I mean, looking at what we had in safety last year, in the last couple years, it's going to be hard not to be an upgrade. But I do think that's going to, the impact that he's going to have just in his first year, hopefully as a leader, but just in his, playmaking ability at safety. I think that's it's going to be huge. You're going to see a vast improvement in this defense.
Okay.
Yep.
So we talked about this before the show a little bit. I want to go on this for 1 second. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Keenan Allen, so you guys are asking about the contract. This is the last year of his contract. He's an unrestricted free agent after this. But my guess is if you're trading a 4th-round pick for him, you probably already got a permission to talk with him so that you can extend him, would be my guess.
Well, given his age, you'd probably want to see what he does this coming season before extending him. I mean, he got banged up. I think he's gotten banged up the last like 3 seasons. Really, maybe maybe in between.
He's always been banged up, but he's still a guy you want to have on your team. I mean,
reliable but in decline.
Especially if you're going to end up with one of the top 3 wide receivers out of the draft. He's a great veteran to have in the room, and to bring them along as well. Whether it's Odunze, whether it's Neighbors, or whether you trade down and you're still able to get MHJ. That's a great addition by the Bears. Look, again, I believe in Ryan Poles, man. I think he's doing some good things. I don't want him drafting a wide receiver in the 3rd or 4th round because we end up with Velus Jones, but I do like a lot of the trades that he's made and a lot of the moves that he's made. He's a smart GM.
Oh, that's fair. And it's guys that honestly I've been jealous of for a long time. But I want to touch on this for a quick second. That's Washington's moves. I know that some people have been critical of what they've done. I think trading Howell was an interesting decision. But what they've done sets up an obvious first-round pick for a quarterback. Whoever they're going for, that's what they're doing. Because Mariota's not the guy they want to start longer. He's here for short term, but they went and got Grant Armstrong, Frankie Louvu, Tyler Biotish, Nick Allegretti, Bobby Wagner, Austin Eckler, mentioned Mariota before, Jeremy Chin, Cleveland Farrell, one got a kicker. I mean, Dante Fowler. These guys loaded up on pieces that, if you look at Fowler and Armstrong alone with Louvu, like that's Chase Young and Montez Sweat, your trades right there. You replace those pieces, and you went and solidified your interior line with Biotish and Allegretti, to where now I say you've got an interior line that can help protect a rookie quarterback and hopefully try and find some of those targets they've got for him there. Whether it's Scary Terry or if it's Jahan Dotson or whoever else they want him to throw to. But Washington's moves are not completely nonsensical, and I like Eckler for the complement that they currently have with Robinson there at running back. So the Commanders are not smart, but they're not as dumb as usual here, in my opinion. But with that said, going through a few other situations here, we got a bunch of guys still out there. I'm going to rattle a few names off. Just go ahead and stop me wherever one really strikes your fancy. But looking at quarterbacks, it's a little bit lean. Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy G, Tyler Huntley, Josh Dobbs, Carson Wentz. I mean, all backups, right? But we get to running back. It's just interesting. Alexander Madison, Zeke, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Damian Harris, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny, Dante Foreman, Marlon Mack, Josh Kelly. There's some guys there I think still have some tread on the tires that can make a difference. Kareem Hunt being one of the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned his next name, what I wanted to hear a little more about was Mike Williams. Mike Williams being released by the Chargers was very interesting to me. So I guess I want to go around the table quick. Where does he land? What's the best fit for Mike Williams at this point in his career?
Originally, I was hoping for the Bears, but now with Keenan Allen, I don't see that that's much of a. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe they shock us all. Go get another wide receiver. But originally, that's as soon as he was released, that was my response was let's go Bears, because I really felt like that was a huge need for them, is to get a legit wide receiver too. And you can't go right before that trade, before they got Keenan Allen, you were looking at Velus Jones and Tyler Scott as your 2 and your 3. Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, I will become Miss O'Leary's cow again if that was what we were going to go into the season. But I don't. I think now I would say somewhere. I would say probably for Mike Williams, I could see him sneaky place for him to land. Watch out for Houston.
Okay.
I know you don't like that.
I think it's gonna be a different team in that state.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing, and hey, I'm with you. I want my Colts to get him. That would be a much better downfield threat than Alec Pierce. I'll take that all day long. Opposite of Pittman Jr. That'd be great. I don't think that's going to happen. I really think Kansas City or Dallas is where he's going to end up. And those are the two teams that I think bringing in a player like that could really benefit right now. Because that's the thing. As good as the Chiefs were and for what they did and everything, their wide receiving core has been suspect without Hill. And I think that would give them a better downfield threat than what they have. That with like a Rashid Rice, who's maybe, still in the throes of learning the NFL system, but is a really good, reliable receiver. So it makes sense. In Dallas, this seems like a Jerry Jones kind of move anyhow to do that. And they've been kind of bouncing back and forth. That number 2, receiver, opposite of CeeDee Lamb for it feels like forever now, and so I think that'd give him a little bit more reliability if he can remain healthy. And that's the big thing. I wonder how much that affects, what kind of contract he gets with his questionable health.
Aaron, what about you?
Well, I was just kind of looking here. If you're depending on where, Atlanta, they just went out and signed Mooney, but if you want to get another 1 or 2 weapons for Kirk Cousins, maybe he goes there. Baltimore needs. Well, I don't know. Today would have been a good day to have Troy on because he's with him being a big Lamar Jackson fan, But they can always have more weapons, for Lamar Jackson. But actually, I think Troy just chimed in to the Niners to replace Ayuk. I don't know if that was regarding.
Why are they replacing Ayuk?
Right, Ayuk's still there.
You got to think they keep him. Ravens running wishbone.
Ravens running wishbone this year.
Okay.
So, I think that they're all good ideas. I think the Mike Williams. This is the biggest wild card to me in the wide receiver group where he lands. The Giants make a lot of sense to me. Try to get something else for them with a wide receiver. Atlanta makes sense, but the Bears, to your point, is what I was worried about initially, but the Vikings are the other one I'm looking at going, man, they could use another person up there. And building momentum towards the Justin Jefferson trade, apparently.
What about the Chiefs?
So I have a different guy. I got picked to the Chiefs. I want to hear you guys think. Marquise Brown. Hollywood Brown, to me, is an interesting sleeper for the Chiefs to add to that receiving group. I think he fits that mold, that small, quick guy that seems to do well to complement what they already have there. But I want to hear your thoughts. Does Marquise Brown fit the Chiefs, or where does he fit better? If Cole will start us off. Oh, sorry.
I think anybody that can catch a ball would be an upgrade for the Chiefs. They had a hard time with that last year. They really did. They had the most drops in the NFL of any wide receiving core. Now I think that Atlanta might lead that, or wherever Darnell Mooney went might lead that.
Yeah.
I don't know where he went, but he drops the ball a lot.
Atlanta.
He went to Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the Chiefs, it would be an upgrade. Mike Williams and Marquise Brown. I think you could see both of those guys landing there. To be honest with you, I know they just restructured the deal, Mahomes' deal. He restructured to give them more cap space. I think it was something like $20 million in cap space too. Yeah. So going to get Hollywood and Mike Williams, I can see both, either or, if not both of those guys landing in Kansas City.
Charlie, what do you think?
So I don't think Atlanta, because didn't they get Rondell Moore in the trade for Desmond?
Did they? I didn't see that part of the trade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they traded. Yeah. So,
Yep.
And they brought in Darnell Mooney, I believe. So it's they don't really, I think they're going to be set, feel like they're going to be set at that position. I could see him. What about the Steelers? The Steelers, I think that's a receiving core that could use that kind of help. I think it would make sense if they can get him on a decent contract.
Or even the Raiders too.
they're trying to make splashes and do something. Why not bring him in there to get him with Adams? That's a great pairing.
And didn't the Steelers just traded Deontay Johnson too, didn't they?
Yes, they did to the Panthers.
Yeah. So
What did they get in
that'd be a
return?
great pickup.
Aaron, what do you think?
$1.
That's what I paid for him in fantasy.
Yeah, what was I'm sorry, Ben. Repeat the question here.
They're fine. Marquise Brown. I thought he made.
Oh, okay. We're still okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, no, I would agree with Combs there in terms of the Chiefs. Yeah, I think the Chiefs would be happy with just somebody catching the ball. But as far as where he would be great to land, I mean,
if you say the Packers, I'm going to fight you.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. I don't want him. I also don't want him.
Honestly, I like where the Pack. In past years, I would have said that. I would have said that for sure because but for once we're going into a draft where I'm like, you know what, I'm really feel comfortable right now as long as they can all stay healthy at where we're at for wide receiver. But I could see Atlanta if Atlanta, brought in Kirk Cousins. One thing we didn't mention about, or at least I don't remember anyone mentioning this when we were talking about Kirk Cousins before. I mean, this guy, we have to remember this guy, he's 35, 36 years old, and he's coming off that Achilles injury. I mean, nobody really knows how he's going to turn out. And he went down with that later than Rodgers did with his. So I think, what was it, like I want to say it was like week 7 or week 8 or something like that he went down, maybe a little bit sooner than that. But
well, the second Packers game says me in December. So yeah.
Well, no, they were in Lambeau. They were at Lambeau when he went down with that. They didn't have him when they played him the second time in Minnesota. But anyway, I mean, I would think that Atlanta, if you're gonna dish out that kind of money to bring in Kirk Cousins, a guy who, hasn't. I mean, he's been very consistent, very good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. And I'm happy he's getting his money. But the stat I saw today was like he's the second highest earning quarterback in history. I don't know if that was right or not, but that's what I saw. And he has like one playoff win, under his belt or something like that. So, I would think if you're going to dish out that kind of money for Kirk Cousins, you're going to want to bring in as many weapons as possible. So I could see Atlanta again. I'll say Baltimore too, because I don't think you could ever have enough weapons for Lamar Jackson either. If you still think he's going to be a good quarterback. So, but then again, the way the Bears are looking too, I could, maybe they did well. Maybe they were going to before now that they have Keenan Allen, maybe they won't. But they seem to be interested in getting a stronger offense for Justin Fields if they're going to stay with him. So I don't know. There are a few.
I had Troy Garmin on the chat I saw said Atlanta already has their top 3. I don't know if they do though. I mean, look, I watched enough of Darnell Mooney to know that he's not a top 3, not even a top 4 on 90% of the teams in the league. He's really not that good. That's not me just throwing shade at him. I watched this guy get hit in the chest more than anybody that I've ever seen it and just drop the ball. He has no hands. He can't win jump balls, and he's just fast. I mean, basically, he's a less talented Devin Hester, who can't just like when Devin Hester tried to play wide receiver. He was fast. He was a great kick returner, but he couldn't catch the ball. And it's the same thing with Darnell Mooney, except Darnell Mooney can't return kicks. So it's really a lose-lose for Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
So other teams to watch here, guys, OBJ and Tyler Boyd. By the way, both I do like for the Ravens as picks again this year for that. But moving on, another name to watch here, Chase Young. He's probably the biggest impact player, in my opinion, remaining on the board right now that does not have a home. Man, again, I'm not going to say the Packers, but Chase Young's a guy that if the Bears get him, I might go kick a cow or a bucket over or whatever. But no, this is like Chase Young's a guy that, again, with Montez, with sort of Sweat on the other side, with the Commanders, they were good. But Chase Young is a scary, scary man. Brown to the Chiefs, just confirmed. Look at that. We just manifested it. But no, I mean, look, Chase Young, guys, where do you want him to go? Where do you think he'll go? Aaron, where do you want to start us off there?
Well, yeah, I guess I would be a homer. I'll be a homer again and say, yeah, I would love to see him go to the Packers and get another defensive player. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know enough about Hafley's defense to know how he fits in there. And that's like the one thing that with a new defensive coordinator coming in, a new defensive system, it's like, okay, I certain guys that fit last year, they're already talking about them maybe not fitting. Which is why they're getting rid of Campbell. But correct me if I'm wrong. Was he injured or anything like that last year? Because I remember there was a stint near the end of the year where he wasn't really doing a whole heck of a lot in.
Well, he was traded, right? So he's traded late to.
Yeah, he was traded to the Niners. Yep.
So that was kind of the big thing. This kid's 24 years old, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a man. If he's got that size, he's Ohio State pedigree, 6'5". I'm trying to find what it was. PFF had some numbers up on him as well. Like his overall impact numbers were right up there. And it's just like the guy makes a difference when he's on the field.
He's going to look great watching him walk off the field as we're singing "Bear Down, Chicago Bears, make every play on the way to history." Yes, absolutely. I think I hope he becomes a Bear.
Go back, go.
Hold on, I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. My bad.
He ain't going up north anywhere.
I mean, I actually, again, I'm not saying this just to say I can actually see this is another guy that I can see the Chiefs going after.
Fair.
I think they can afford him.
I was gonna say what teams have the most. I haven't seen those numbers yet as far as the teams that are like the furthest under the cap or anything like that.
Yeah, but the teams that are furthest under the cap aren't really spending that money right now. Like even the Bears. The Bears have the most by far, but they're bargain shopping for everything right now because they do have some players coming up they're going to have to pay as well.
Sure.
And the rest of those teams they're not ready to win. So signing Chase Young just doesn't make much sense unless you're just trying to sell some tickets.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I come off too as a Packer fan. It's like you're trying to get through all the mess that was the Aaron Rodgers contract, and you're kind of recovering from that. That you have a Jordan Love contract that's going to be massive coming, assuming he has another, and even continues to improve this coming season. So, like, again, looking at it from a Packer fan perspective, I would love to see him there, but I don't really know if they can afford him or if they want to make that kind of a commitment, from that, perspective. So
he's a prototypical Steeler, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I could.
He really is a prototypical Steeler. That steel curtain
Yeah.
defense. Yeah.
I think he ends up in the South somewhere.
So
Houston.
Well, a lot of chatter
Every
about
boy
the
does.
Saints. Well, no, there's a lot of talk about him. He's going to visit the Saints, and and he was I think he was down in Carolina, and I see him as a good fit for Tampa Bay. I really think that he might end up there.
What about your boys?
Oh, I would love to have him on the team.
Can they afford him? Do they have the cap space?
they have 19
Probably,
million.
but it's not the biggest need. That's not where I'm hurting. I can't. They can't stop receivers way down the field. That's what we need.
I got you.
Safety and corner help. But I mean, I just it seems like with the chatter and all that, Saints could be a possibility. It seems like a really good fit. Any good defensive player like that, I agree with you guys, is like a perfect fit for the Steelers. That's just what they do. But I feel like Tampa Bay's trying to put something together. You know, they had a really good run. They bring back Baker. They need to keep that defense as stout as it is in order to compete.
What about the Detroit Lions? I just saw that they're 6th on the cap.
Can they
you put him
it?
on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson? Holy son of a gun.
Wow. That would be nice.
I think we would all hate that.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah, I'm kind of over my liking the Lions now. You know,
yeah.
I liked them, like, was it last year or 2 years ago? I'm like, oh, they're the lovable losers. You know, I'm happy for them. Blah blah blah. Now I'm like, okay, we're good.
I liked them in January. I was like, yeah, they really deserve. No. Yeah. Now we're all getting no. Yeah, I don't like them anymore. Go back to 0-16, damn it.
I liked them against the Niners, but yeah, but
I love them.
So
that don't affect me unless I see the Super Bowl. No, you know, my son, he loves Amon-Ra St. Brown. He loves him, so we root for him.
No, look, guys, it's wonderful time of year, right? We're coming in here through conference tournament time. We got baseball starting up. We've had this frenzy of free agency going on. WrestleMania is right around the corner for those of you who are like me and enjoy it. But I do have to stare down the elephant in the room here and acknowledge Combs and his poor choice in friendships. But Craig Counsell in that hideous pinstripe jersey is going to be just making me tear my eyes out all season. But with that said, Combs, what do you expect from this baseball season, and what's got you excited?
Everything's got me excited. I mean, look, waiting for the Dodgers to lose in the first round of the playoffs is probably what I'm most excited for.
Yes.
They're that team that always finds a way to lose. So that has me excited. You know, the NL East is going to be an amazing race. Watching the Phillies with a full year of Bryce Harper. A lot of people forget, Atlanta ran away with that division last year, but Philly was missing Bryce Harper for most of the year. Aaron Nola was down for half of the year last year as well. They've got both of those guys back. They got both of those guys healthy. That's probably going to be the most fun race in all of baseball. I think that the NL Central, for me, it's a 2-team race. I think it's, between the Cubs and the Reds. I think the Reds are going to be able to make some noise. I think the Pirates are going to be better than what they saw. I can't, you guys got rid of too much pitching and you just lost your closer for 3 months. Okay. So I don't feel like there's enough there, and there's just not enough offense there either for Milwaukee to make noise in this division. Same thing with St. Louis. I don't think St. Louis, everybody was taught Pacoda picking St. Louis to win. They won like 60-something games or 70 games last year, and all they went and added was Sonny Gray, and now he just tore his hamstring. So I don't see St. Louis making any noise either. NL West, again, the Padres are going to be interesting now, adding Dylan Cease. Great move there for them. I think addition by subtraction when they traded Juan Soto as well. I think that gives you a lot of movement. So I think that San Diego can make some noise in an NL West or maybe even a wild card. When it comes to the American League Central is going to be abysmal. You could see a team with under 500 possibly winning that division. You could see a team with 80, 81 wins winning that division. Like, it's crazy. Like, I still think that the White Sox have a chance to win that division. That's how crazy that is. AL West, it's going to be, again, they've got a lot of really good teams there as well. Texas, Houston, all those guys. Can Texas repeat? Are they going to have that World Series hangover that we see over and over and over again? And then the Seattle Mariners, young, up and coming. They're fun to watch. They're going to be fun to watch all year. They're going to be the Cincinnati Reds of last year. That's just young and just so much fun to watch, even though they are on the West Coast. I'll stay up till 1 a.m. I have a sickness, so I'll stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning to watch their games out on the West Coast. And then the AL East, can Tampa Bay find a way to do it again and still be good even with all the subtractions? The Yankees, can they overcome the fact that they bargain shop for pitching year after year after year? Plus now losing Cole probably for the year. Looks like Garrett Cole going to look for surgery on his elbow. Probably going to need Tommy John, so he's probably done for the year. And what's going to happen in that division? So yeah, I'm excited for all of it, man. I really am.
Charlie?
Oh man, I'm just stoked to get some baseball back. I'm super excited for my Braves to be running back the best offense in baseball. That's going to be so much fun to watch. We might break more records this season, improve upon things. It's going to be incredibly fun to watch. And because I agree with you, man, this division, it's going to be nuts. I mean,
yeah.
Not the Mets. The Mets suck. They're never going to do anything. They're not relevant to the division. They think they are. They're absolutely not, and they never will be. But hell, even the Marlins could pop up and do something. Like, this is going to be really fun.
They're good.
The Nationals will do a ton. I feel like they're kind of in a rebuild, but man, it's going to be a great division race at the top for this division. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully something will happen in the Phillies and they'll tank a few games. That'll be okay with me. But I'm really excited about what's going on out west. Like, I hate, to see the Dodgers win, and I love to see them lose. And the other teams in that division, they're building to go to war. They know who they have to beat, and they're making the moves to do it. The Giants are putting something together. The Padres, I think, are a sneaky pick to get to the World Series. I really actually do. No, look, the pitching staff of the Padres are putting together is very, very nice. No, maybe they don't have any like a top 5, top 10 guy, but shoot, they might have like 3 of them from 15 to 23. So that's a really good staff to put together when you've got those guys coming out. So I really like that a lot, man. I'm interested to see what Juan Soto does with the Yankees. That's going to be exciting. I think he's going to have a big bounce back, and Sans offense on the Padres. I like to see Tatis, what he's going to do without Soto, put a little bit more on his shoulders. I'm very, very excited for some of these teams out here in the middle, man. The O'Neal Cruz is going to come back. That's got to be one of the funnest players to watch in baseball. That dude is a beast, and he shoots cannons out of his freaking arm. I mean, it's nuts. Like,
dude, he's
very exciting.
I just selected my Cubs tickets based off of those schedules, based off to see those guys play. I bought tickets for the Padres, the Braves, the Reds, just so I can see all of these young, exciting plays. Yes.
Hey, look, I'm telling you, the Reds, and I've said it to y'all before, they may win that division. Now, they got a little bit of bad news the other day, and that hurts a lot of us in fantasy, and that also hurts them as far as losing one of their infielders for suspension. But they've got this young core that's got a lot of pop, a lot of power, a lot of speed. They've got some young pitchers that have a lot of potential. They started to put it all together. You're going to be kind of led by Elly De La Cruz. That guy's exciting, man. That's almost like a little Ronald Acuna Jr. So like, they could do something fun. I think that it's going to be exciting to watch. They're one of the ones that I'm really keeping an eye on. And then, down in Texas, we'll see the Battle of the Longhorns got going on down there. They got 2 teams that are just power teams. So that's going to be exciting to watch again with the Rangers and the Astros. And I really think that the Boston Red Sox will lose a lot of games this season. And that really excites me too, because they suck and I hate them.
Do you remember Elly De La Cruz, speaking of which, last year when he stole second, third, and home on consecutive plays?
Yes! Oh my gosh, dude, that was ridiculous.
It was
insane. I probably watched that highlight like 5 times in a row just to make sure that I actually saw it happen.
He made you want to tune into Reds games in September.
Yes.
When was the last time you said that?
Yes, dude. And India, that guy, he has got so much potential too. If he really puts it together, man, that's a solid 3-tool player that can make an impact.
They're way better than the Brewers.
They're going to be exciting. This season's going to be fun.
Aaron, time for baseball?
I mean, you know me, Ben. You know me well.
It's
enough to know that
round.
I'm-
It's round. It's small.
Yeah.
Stitchy.
White with red lines on it.
I'm excited when they score a goal. No, I do
Basket
look
fan.
forward to it starting just because it reminds you that summer's around the corner. I enjoy going to the games. I'm looking forward to the me and baseball reminds me of Combs when you were talking about who is it the Bear player you were talking about Thayer.
There,
Yeah. As long as the Cardinals lose, I don't really,
amen to that.
I'm excited for whatever we can get, especially this year out of the Brewers. I'm because every time I expect them to suck, they end up surprising me. So I'm gonna just try to be a glass half full kind of guy. I mean, they have they have a couple young guys that I'm excited to see. Churio and those guys, see how they do. And yes, I'm also excited to see the Dodgers choke. So
and if listening to the two guys on the bottom of the screen here didn't just get you so amped up for baseball, nothing's gonna get you amped up.
You know what? I was I'm sitting there listening to you guys, just like, wow, these guys are really
It's gonna be a great season.
I'm looking forward to it.
And you're not a guy who wants to be late to watch baseball. Watch the Orioles play ball.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't care who you are. Watch the Orioles. This
They're
is
good.
a fun, young, amazing team that they've got going right now. And I mean, I don't care who you are. It's hard to hate the Orioles. I mean, like that's not a very hateable team, right? Beautiful ballpark, fun team to watch. I get if you don't like Hyde, but in all, this is a really fun team to see, and they're doing well. I think they're the best team in baseball this year. But you got to play the games, right? And look, I understand the criticism of my Brewers take. I get it. But I also think that it's a little bit overstated. And what I mean by this is there's pieces that we have coming in offensively that's going to be different than last year. The runs we are going to lose from our pitching quality, we're going to gain with our bats. Sal Frelick is a contact hitter, having him all season. Jackson Churio has that pop, and he will be an Elly De La Cruz-like player for us in terms of making you want to watch Brewers baseball, even with your ugly green hat on. It's going to be a glorious, fun season to watch. Like I love baseball. I've done the MLB extra innings or the network. I can't find my words. I get all the dang games. You get the point. For the last probably 20 years. And this is one of those things I enjoyed my summers listening to and watching baseball. And just that sound of the mitt, it's music. And then you get past that even, and if you are a baseball fan, guys, watch some college baseball. It is so good already. SEC, Sun Belt, I don't care. Watch some college ball. See these guys come through. It is fun. And if you want to see late inning dramatics, like talk about bullpens that get absolutely shelled sometimes. It is no lead is safe in college baseball. It is fun to watch, and you're always just gripping the edge of your seat for that. So Omaha's great, but it's fun before Omaha too. So, so I guess I'm not going to go as far as you guys did on this, but I will say, overlook us all you want. We're still here, and we're still better than the Cubs. But that's another story.
Hey, but before we leave here, I just want to mention, because Brad didn't put it on the comments here, but he put it in our group chat. I thought this was interesting. Our friend Brad, who is taking a little bit of a break from the show, but he's one of the other Bear fans, and he says, the more I see, the more I believe that the Bears are going to be keeping Fields and drafting Caleb Williams. He said, since there's no market for Fields now, there sure as hell will be by week 6. So interesting that I know Brandon, you don't seem to I mean, you said earlier you didn't. Yeah. I'd be shocked if they did, but
if Fields was a veteran, and not on his rookie deal and not looking over his shoulder, I'd be all for it. But he's not that. He's still on his rookie deal. He hasn't had a fair shake. When it comes to the coaching staff, you've done him wrong. You cannot go into that season with Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. You have to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, seriously, it's like when you were in high school, right? And what do we all do when we were in high school? We all like every single girl that walked past us, and we wanted to talk to all of them. And in reality, you could be dating one, talking to another, but you couldn't keep them all. You can't. It's you had to choose, and it's the same thing. The Bears have to choose who they're going to go on a date with, who they're going to try to marry. The Bears have to make that decision. I think it's actually leaning more and more to look like they are keeping Justin Fields, but not drafting Caleb Williams is what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we'll know if the Bears are turning a corner here, because if they're the old Bears, they'll do exactly what Brad just said and find a way to F it up and make it just a.
I'm never coming on this show again.
Damn it. but if they're the new Bears, if Poles is the new face of the franchise and they're or the face of the front office, I should say, maybe he's smarter than the average Bear GM. So anyway,
well, guys, we are hitting up against time here. We're gonna get off the show, but I'm gonna do a little just to give Combs a little bit of something to send him off with. I will give him some good music to go with. It was